Oh. Oh my. Mhm. Ooh. Tina! I can't hear you or see you. You don't have to be seen. I hear you. It's just you, Tina.
Can you hear me, Susan?
And it's just you right now.
Oh my gosh. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm going a little stir crazy. How about yourself?
Yes, doing well here.
Yeah, good.
Not doing Nantaba at the moment. You probably have heard,
No.
but yeah, managing. You
Yeah.
seem to be busy.
Well, I'm trying. I'm trying to get outside the box, do things a little bit different. I've, you know, I mean, I lost about $750,000 in sales.
Isn't it something?
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Told me that at the beginning of February, I would have laughed in your face.
Mm-mm.
But with that being said, I'm trying, to stay positive. I'm trying to look at things differently. I'm trying to keep people engaged and keep people in the know. And so this was one of the things I came up with was, hey, let's, no sales, no nothing. Actually, Robin was one of my first was how do we get people, wait, hold on, I hit remove, sorry. How do we get people to be excited about things that they might go in a year, they might go in 5, so.
Yeah, just learn about destinations. I mean, then, yeah.
Okay, so he says he's in and he's waiting. Sorry, hi Tom.
Hey there, how you doing?
Good. So I'm sitting here. We had this trouble the other day, and I don't know what we're waiting for. I have to wait till you guys pop up for me to approve you to come in. I don't know why. Okay, I'm gonna tell him here.
It's a new feature of Zoom. We use Zoom all the time at work.
Yeah, I guess somebody popped into someone's room or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't see you yet. That's the guy who's leading it. He's so nice, Mario.
You look wonderful.
Yeah, he's one of these people. I can't even remember. I know how I'll tell the story, but I remember how I met him, and I will tell you, Dan and I'm gonna shut the door. My son's playing Xbox.
And how do I mute myself? Oh,
So-
I found it. Yeah, there it is. I see it now.
yeah, and then you can also make you can do speaker view or gallery view if you want to see more people. He's going to share his screen, so when he gets
Okay.
see, like what happens is this happens every time, which is great. Bunch of people are coming in late, and so I have to approve them, and I approve them in it's just a way we Zoom's got a thing, and then I have a thing, so I want to get people's email addresses. So that if I have people that are interested and they want to know stuff, I want to know who they are so I can follow up with them. And then Zoom has this, I guess people were bumping into a bunch of Zooms. I mean, it's funny, you look at some businesses where you're like, my husband just said, if this, I'm not my husband, my son just said, if this continues to go on, that Bezos will be the first trillionaire because of Amazon making all this money. And you look at Zoom and some of these online companies that have made so much money where we have not. So I was laughing. I did actually have a sale this month. I was like, hold your horses. So it's kind of funny. I was like, oh, but it's what I want to do is I want to have people. I have people kind of give me some suggestions. We now have
How much?
1560.
Well, I can write that on my check.
I don't know, but they just want to.
with the Virgin Voyages, which is the adults only cruise line that's coming out. We also have hi guys, hi Tammy. Oh, you got Grandpa.
No.
Grandpa.
This is the new Mountain Man Tim.
Yeah.
Oh, look at
You look
you also.
good. You look good.
She's also pretty and Costa Rican.
Oh, I will tell you, I got my husband there last year. Here he is. Here's our guy. And what I do is I usually wait about 3 minutes. There you are. You got you. Woohoo! Hey, I'm glad you got in, Mario.
Hey, right on time.
I know. Well, I'm gonna wait a couple minutes just to see if people are in there. And now you're in New York, right?
No, I'm in Maryland, outside DC.
Oh, okay. Are you in what's your quarantine at?
I wish I knew.
I know. We actually can go to restaurants here now. I guess they're like staggered restaurants.
Yeah, what happened here is that so yesterday the governor of Maryland opened the economy a little bit,
Mhm.
but he left it to each county to decide.
Oh, that's smart.
So we're not sure what our county's doing. Like
Right.
we have one of the highest rates of infestation in the state. So I think we're not open yet, but some other places in Maryland are. So it's a little weird.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Arizona is unique in that our governor he's not my favorite, but he's been very lackadaisical all along, and he's gotten sued from the television stations here because he wasn't revealing the group, like the elderly homes, I can't remember the names, and he wasn't revealing like who had COVID and stuff, and so they actually sued him. And he was like, no big deal, like you could play golf. How funky is that? So you could go play golf here, but you couldn't like play with, like, there was no one at the golf course. You had to do it all online, stuff like that. So, it's kind of one of those funky things. But I'll say this, I would love to go to a bar. My husband won't let me. Hello, Whitney. I would love to go to a bar, but I'm a severe asthmatic, and my husband's like, no. So, it's we haven't done. I've left the house like 5 times.
So everybody's in the same Arizona area?
No, we have people all around. So I have someone in Oregon. I have someone. Tina, you're outside St. Louis, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we have some people. I have someone coming on right now that's in LA. LA just got down till they're down till the end of August. That'd be awful. So
Yeah, and they canceled the school in person. Both Cal State and University of California systems are not going to be there in the fall. I know.
now, no offense, I love my kids, but if my kids were going to college, and then I just got told that they all had to come back.
Well, I have a senior in high school.
My kids out of my house, I don't want to get them back.
I know my daughter is a senior graduating next week, and she's going to University of Virginia.
Yeah.
And they don't know if they're going to have classes or not. So I told her that if she doesn't have classes, she's going to defer, start in January, and I'm going to send her to Costa Rica to do bartending for 6 months.
Perfect.
I know, right?
God, you're so fun. Yeah. I'm telling you, I was going to say this. Now, I'll say, I met you. This is how I met you. I was saying is that. So I used to work for another travel agency as an outside salesperson. He never told me anything, didn't tell me who to connect with. And your email came out. Somehow I got an email and it said, oh, and I went, oh, Tabacon. I go, I sell that. So I emailed you and said, yeah, I started my own travel agency. Would you like to meet up? And so we met up, and your family was coming in that day to go to the Grand Canyon. And it was like rain or something like that. Yeah, I remember that. So I sat down and you were talking about how we could go see these properties. And I'm telling you, I could not. My husband would move and live in Costa Rica after our trip. And then we met the other guy at Nantipa. I forget his name. I would know it if I saw it. He was there. One of your partners was there while we were there.
Right.
And it was one of the best experiences I've probably, and I'm not saying that lightly because one of my people out here in Africa, I would say Africa, Costa Rica, one of the best experiences in that hotel. I sent it to one of the people that's on here right now, and he wrote back, he goes, I hate you. He always says that to me when I'm on vacation. But I'm telling you that Nantipa, oh my gosh, to walk out at night, this is at 6 o'clock at night, and everyone walks out, watches the sunset, and then we all walk home. And your daughter, be a bartender there? Oh, the best gin and tonic of my life I had there. It could have been because I had a lot of them, but it still was the best.
That's a high accomplishment. Very nice. Thank you.
It was. I mean, really, it was just profoundly beautiful. It was great. So anyhow.
So the sunset behind me obviously is not from Maryland. This is from Nantipa. So.
Well, what I'll do is I will keep going. I'll keep finding people in if they are. If you guys have any questions, you can ask them over on the chat. and then I'll try to have them in. If there's any travel agents in here that want to stay on and ask questions at the end, or if you have questions that don't get answered, you can ask on the end, but I will stop it at 5 o'clock to make sure that you respect anyone's time and stuff like that. And I will pass it on over to my friend Mario.
All right, but let me see. Share screen. Here we go.
Let me make you a co-host. Hold on.
I got it.
Yeah, if you're a co-host, I think it's easier. So let me do that. Yeah, there we go.
Okay, why is this thing not running? There you go.
Oh,
Let me,
they're so cute.
can you hear it or not?
I can. It's like a split screen. I don't know if I have to make it louder.
Hold on, hold on. I just want to make sure I'm sharing the right screen because I got two going.
It almost feels like you're not.
Were you seeing the whole screen or just a partial screen?
We were seeing like it's split, almost like you were looking at both.
Okay, got it. Hold on.
Okay.
I need to share the other screen. I'm sorry about that.
Well,
There you go.
I'll allow you one mistake. Dan's screen does not work on his computer. We have to fix it. That's why he does not have a face.
Oh, come on.
Let's see if I can find a picture of Dan. Hey, Dan, come in here real quick. He is in the room next to me. I don't hear him walking. I'm trying to see if I can.
So we're good. Everybody's watching. Everybody sees fine. We're good.
I don't see anything. I see
Oh,
you.
you're not sharing
Oh,
anything
that's
right
not
now.
good. That's not good. Hold on.
Nice. I look like looking at all of you.
Okay. That better? You see the Save the Americans thing?
Okay, hold on. Yes, I do.
Yes.
All
Yeah, I
right,
see it.
so let's get started then.
Great.
So for those of you that have never been to Costa Rica, my name is Manny. And as I was saying before, I am Costa Rican living in Maryland for the last 20 years. But I have been involved with tourism in Costa Rica for a long, long, long time. So why is this thing not shared? Hold on, I'm gonna have to do it the old-fashioned way, sorry.
You're good.
Yeah, one screen, one share. I'm gonna have to get out of this and okay, now can you see me?
I see you. I do not. You're not sharing your screen,
I am or I'm not?
or not.
You don't see the Why Costa Rica slide?
Nope.
Okay, why is that happening?
You were before. We saw the.
Yeah, but it was like a partial screen, right? Hold on. Share screen. Okay. How about now?
Yes, I do. I see your whole computer. Like, yeah, there we go. I see it.
Okay.
Nantipa.
All right, so why Costa Rica? Unfortunately, and this is, believe it or not, one of the few times I'm making this presentation in this crisis, because we normally tell everybody it's a wonderful country, it's the best place for nature, a great adventure, it's a fantastic trip. But now the world has changed. So we not only is it a fantastic vacation spot, we also need to tell you it's a safe spot. And that's going to change things in travel for us for the rest of the year and who knows for how long. So Costa Rica has been hailed by a lot of international organizations, even the World Health Organization, as the best handling of the pandemic in Latin America and one of the best in the world. So it's not good to say, but at least we're proud that there's the fewest deaths and the fewest deaths per million in the whole Americas, and one of the fewest in the world. We are practicing social distancing. We are taking all the regulations for real. Costa Rica is known to be a country that excels in public education, in spending money in healthcare systems. It's a socialized public healthcare system. So all those things are paying off right now. You have a highly educated population that's paying close attention to the rules, and the great healthcare system that is handling everything that the pandemic throws at them. They're handling it with a lot of success. It is a wellness nature destination. Obviously, we have amazing beaches, but we're very well known worldwide for being a sustainable country, along with an experience-based travel. And we like to focus on smaller, more independent hotels in the boutique side, all of them with a lot of charm, a lot of personality. So we're going to focus on a few regions here. Obviously, this presentation could be extremely long, and we just want to make the most out of the time. So we're going to give you a combination of 3 regions. The northern region of Arenal, which is the volcano, rainforest, hot springs, adventure part of Costa Rica. And then 2 coastal areas that are very different from each other. One is going to be the Manuel Antonio area, very well known for wildlife watching. It's one of the best places to come and see sloths and monkeys and birds. A lot of adventure still, but a little more on the touristy side. And then Santa Teresa is going to be a little bit of the Costa Rica Tulum experience, small hotels, great nightlife, great restaurants, superb surfing, and amazing beaches. So we're going to focus on Tabacon first, which is in the Arenal volcano region. It's a hot springs destination. And this is going to give you a little bit of an idea of what the combination of rainforest, volcano, and hot springs can do in Costa Rica's area with the most adventures and the most amount of different activities to do. So in the video that I hope everybody's watching, all the water you see is about 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's naturally heated by the volcano. So there's a lot of hot springs in this particular part of Costa Rica, and we're very well known for spa, for wellness, for relaxation, and for nature travel.
It feels very good after I did that Sky Adventure 10 type, whatever, zip line that scared the out of me after I did.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that in a couple minutes.
I went in here afterwards and I did a live video, and it was the most hits I got on any part of my live videos while I was there. We went up to the Shangri-La.
Right.
It was stunning. And then it starts raining while you're in a hot spring. It was so cool.
That's Shangri-La right there.
It was beautiful. I have a picture of my husband doing yoga there. I will say that one of the things that really impressed me, and I'm not just saying this, by the people there, was that everyone that we ran into cared about the environment, cared about what it looked like, how clean it was. They were well educated, like you said. I wasn't expecting that. I think that was a surprise. And so, as we were driving around, they'd go, "Hey, do you want to stop? At a restaurant, you're at a eating," and they're like, "Hey, look up there, there's a sloth." And then they pull out their binoculars or whatever. They really cared about what they were around, which was so wonderful to be around. They saw screeching monkeys on the side of the road, and they pull over and go, "Do you want to go look?" Instead, "Oh gosh, we're moving people. Who cares? We're doing." It had a really incredible vibe, and the rooms were awesome.
I mean, the whole country is 98% clean energy, mostly from hydro, wind, and volcano power, steam power. So it's a clean country, a lot of sustainability, as you're mentioning. So we do have the volcano, which is an active volcano. It's sort of the centerpiece of the whole region. Everybody, when they say I'm going to the volcano, they're probably relating to this one. And it's all about hot springs, nature, some very nice rooms at the hotel. It's for the small luxury hotels of the world. So it is luxury, but it's luxury with a sustainable flair, like Susan's saying. We have go all the way up to suites, and this is your Shangri-La area. So this is adults only, with really nice cocoon areas, a private bar, private hot springs. So you do get a lot of privacy if you're in couples, and some of the best spas of Costa Rica as well. So again, very organic. Everything is all done in open air bungalows. So you're enjoying to be in that spa in the middle of the rainforest, enjoying your hot springs and your massages. So it's quite a unique setting. Again, amazing food you're going to find in Costa Rica. Costa Rica is not necessarily known worldwide as a gastronomic destination, but that is quickly changing because there's a push by the government to make it into sort of a well-known food and beverage destination. We do have private dining as well with a private chef. And this is what Susan was mentioning. So a lot of sustainable practices, a lot of different initiatives to single-use plastic, recycling, tree planting, reduce use of their resources. And this is what Susan was talking, hold on, was talking about. It's adventure capital of Costa Rica. This is some of the fun things to do here. But we're gonna get into a fun video in a second. So part of the adventure is gonna be your Sky Adventures activities. And this is what Susan was talking about.
Oh my gosh. I had you up today. I was scared out of my freaking mind on the last one where you lay on your stomach. I said to my husband, I don't think at one point I'm like, they didn't get me tight enough. And I'm like, well, if I'm going down, my husband will be looking. You know, because I thought I was dying. I was like, I'm out. I'm totally dying. I love that one. God, that's awesome. It's so pretty. Are those all right near where the zip lining is? Because I noticed that it was like 10 minutes away from Tabacon.
So you're going to find all of these in Arenal. You're also going to find them in the cloud forest of Monteverde, and as well as finding them in the Guanacaste area. They have a nice hot springs adventure park. So the adventure is going to be available throughout the country in all the different regions. It's a matter of finding out what you want to do, what you want to experience, and pairing it up with the best possible region to get the tour done in. I'm going to skip San Jose for now and move on to Manuel Antonio. So Manuel Antonio is going to be a coastal resort area that combines national parks, still a lot of adventure, with the ocean. So it's about a 2.5-hour drive south of San Jose. And it is the place to come and see monkeys. So there's 4 types of monkeys, 2 types of sloths, tons of reptiles and birds and anteaters and all different kinds of mammals as well. And this is going to be Los Altos, which is an old suites hotel that's going to be right on the beach with an infinity edge pool, a great spa. Again, food is going to be part of your experience and your variety across the country. This particular place has 4 restaurants, and some of the activities in Manuel Antonio are going to be some of the best fishing worldwide. Actually, they have a great marina with amazing yachts and cruise. There's great rafting, there's the national park, and there's a lot of ocean-based and land-based activities. And finally, this is what Susan was mentioning is Nantipa, which is going to be your beachfront boutique 15-room hotel at the base of the beaches of Santa Teresa. So you're going to have the best surfing, direct access to town, and also a very sustainable, very high-end, but very authentic experience in country.
It's the coolest room I've ever stayed in.
So when you're thinking of Costa Rica, ideally you're thinking of moving around the country. You're going to be going to inland rainforest, volcano, cloud forest destinations, and then typically ending on the beaches, either on the Caribbean side or on the Pacific side. This one happens to be on the Pacific side, and it is known to be a surfing destination. So great surfing lessons, really good yoga lessons, great sunsets as the one you saw in my picture, or this one right here, combined with really just fun in the sun and the sand, and relaxing times. So 8 suites, family style, and 7 bungalows, 5 of them right on the beach line, along with a beachfront restaurant. So you are going to have sort of that amazing laid back Costa Rican cuisine experience with mixologists, as Susan mentioned, amazing gin tonics, among other drinks. And again, you're going to be seeing a lot of the gastronomic experience throughout the Costa Rican the presentation. So the region has amazing horseback riding, again, a couple of national parks. There's really fun bioluminosity tours, yoga, paddle boards, paddle yoga, surfing lessons, and obviously you can combine them to get the most out of it. So Susan, it's all you. Bring in the questions, and you can take over the presentation as well.
Yeah, so I would say a couple things, and then if you guys want to bring in comments too. I'd say a couple things. One of the areas that I would love to see next time was the Manuel Antonio. I've had people ask about that, and your properties, what I love is they're large. So when people look at, we want to take our kids, you know, a lot of people contact me and say, well, we're not drinkers, you know, so they don't want that all-inclusive, or they don't want that large place, especially
Correct.
after COVID. I think what people are going to look for are smaller places where they can have their own place, right?
Agreed.
Have their own spot, be able to, if they want, create their own food. What I found when we were there, the food was phenomenal, and it wasn't very expensive. You could walk along, especially when we were in Nantipa, we could walk along the beach and walk into any of the other restaurants, and I mean, we could have the best breakfast we could have for, you know, $5, $6. I mean, it really was not that expensive. So it has a very different type, it's a very different type of vacation than people who are going to the all-inclusives. Sometimes what I do, especially with brides or people or families, is they'll start in the Arnold area. I'll put them at Tabacon, and then they'll end up at the beach. And if they want that all-inclusive, then they'll go there possibly at the end because they want to just stay at a beach and they want an all-inclusive and be taken care of. But I really do like that Manuel Antonio. I think the only thing to be aware of when you're looking at Costa Rica, and this is where I think an advisor comes in really handy, is how far away are you from the airport? So, because there can be a lot of driving, and we know.
And how far away between regions as well.
Yeah, like Santa Teresa it's hard to get to. The roads are not very easy. So
Right.
But it's worth it when you get there, because when you get there, you're there for a while. You wouldn't want to go there for 1 or 2 nights because it really is a haul in a small plane, then on a bumpy road, you know, so it's understanding the different properties and stuff like that. Most of the regions are going to have lofts, and you know, they're going to have areas where you're going to see a lot of the wildlife. There's rescues I found in almost any of the areas that we were in. But trying to understand kind of like what is drawing you to Costa Rica. And even like I know you skipped over San Jose. We really enjoyed San Jose. I felt safe walking around. We enjoyed the local cuisine. We enjoyed the people. So that can also be, so the 2 airports you could fly into is Liberia or to San Jose. And I would say it depends on, I mean, some of the airports there's nonstop. So like LA, there's a nonstop into LAR on an airline. So you could base kind of where you want to go on that versus going into San Jose, where like Miami's going to fly into San Jose nonstop. But just giving yourself some time on that and realizing if you're going to go for a week, you might have to go like Manuel Antonio is 2.5 hours.
Correct.
So, comfortable driving, do not, stuff like that. But there's so many incredible tours you don't want to miss out on. We almost didn't do the zip lining. You know, I'm an asthmatic. It was harsh because you start here, believe it or not, with zip lining, and then you go down, and guess what? Then you got to walk back up. And I'm huffing and puffing, and I'm so glad I did it because it was unbelievable. The beauty and the people and the kindness and stuff like that. So there's a lot of cool things that we could have done. I probably could have spent another 10, 15 days there. We will definitely go back. So
So
yeah,
keep in mind that that part of the experience and part of the, I'm going to call it the educational experience of Costa Rica, is the rich sustainability in the country. And part of the sustainability principles involve what we call the democratization of the tourist dollar, or the spreading the dollar. So exactly like you mentioned, that in Nantipa, you walk down, you go to a restaurant, then maybe you go to a shop, you go to a different tour, you hire a guide, he takes you to the national park. The same happens in Arenal with La Fortuna. The same happens in Manuel Antonio with all the establishments nearby. So what you're doing is you're really helping communities, and you're really sort of, your vacation helps support the local economy. So it's very different from just going to one all-inclusive in, say, Cancun or the Dominican Republic or any of the islands, where you're stuck at the hotel. Maybe you'll take a tour, but basically your interaction is going to be with the driver that takes you in, the driver that takes you out, and then it's just the hotel. So you're not really getting that sustainable experience while you are vacationing. So, I mean, I think the world is changing towards more of a sustainable approach, more of the local, authentic experiences, and that's what Costa Rica is all about.
yeah. The guides that we had on the zip line, I remember asking, you know, what was he doing? He was going to school, and he wanted to open his own adventures, and he was so helpful. And I thought, any other tours I've done, it was so unique to have such love for, you know, I grew up in a family that absolutely loves animals, and to have people that just absolutely loved where they were. I mean, he loved his job. I just hadn't been around someone like that in so long. I was like, this is phenomenal. It was just a really great feeling to feel a part of that. And everywhere we went, every hotel we went to, people loved what they were doing. And I think it had been a while since I'd been in a boutique hotel, because we spend a lot of time at all inclusives. And I think there's a place for everything. So
Right.
the other thing that I love there too, that you guys have talked about, it is getting married there. There's a lot of unique places to do that. And there are home rentals and stuff. And you guys have a bunch of great properties. And that's why the Manuel Antonio, that one, I mean, what's the 3-bedroom can hold up to how many people?
8.
Yeah. And you have the pool, you can walk down to the beach. Can you walk to town there in that one, or no?
Yes, absolutely.
So does anyone have any questions? I don't see any over here. You can totally unmute yourself if you have questions about anything here. Feel free to ask. There's no right or wrong question.
Yeah, I'm here. Got a question for you. Thanks for the presentation. It's great. We've never been there, or although one of our daughters is gone. But what would you, for someone that's never been before, would you recommend spending enough time that you can kind of tour around a few different locations within the country, or should you really just focus in one of the areas that you covered today?
So I think it depends on your interests. I would say 85% of visitors do at least 2 regions.
Yeah.
To me, it's a must, because if you only do one region, you're typically going to be doing it on the beach, and that would be a beach vacation. And for that, you have many other alternatives in the world. So it's a little more like going to Peru and not seeing Machu Picchu or not seeing Cusco because you spend your whole time in Lima. You want to get the at least the 2 region experience. If you can squeeze in 3 because you have enough days, then for sure do at least 3. But my rule of thumb is 7 nights or less, stay in 2 regions, and 8 to 10 nights, 10 and 3, and then more than that, obviously you can keep expanding. But as Susan said, transportation travel between regions can be long, can be a little. It's beautiful. It's got tremendous scenery, but it can be slow. So you don't want to do that changing of regions more than once every 3 to 4 days.
So you don't need your own car.
You can. Some people do drive. I don't recommend that. There's a couple of reasons. I think that when you're on vacation, I think it's nice to have someone who knows where they're going. I don't think it's, some people think that they're really confident in driving till they get in another country, right?
Yeah.
And they go to a place that people don't speak English, and, you know, and I mean, it doesn't matter where you go. People just get nervous, and then that makes your day, your trip, whatever, not great. So, you know, I suggest not to. There are some wonderful companies that they work with. Jaguar tours that know that's their job. I mean, if you came to Arizona, I know how to get from the airport to wherever you're going. I know the ins and the outs and the best restaurants, and I know how to go and the dive places and stuff like that. So I think there's a great value in having a local person do that. Some of the regions you do fly, that is another thing. So that's also why you want to talk with someone like us is, you know, are you comfortable being in a plane that, you know, we flew a plane that, I shouldn't even tell you, but we got up and it was a storm and then he turned and we came back in. And it was probably a 8-seater. And my husband,
12.
my husband goes, and he goes, I can't believe you're reading a book. And I was like, my dad flew small planes. I was like, yeah, I'm good. And he's like, oh my God, oh look, it was like, and the guy's like, okay, we're gonna go back down, we're gonna go back down. And we literally turned around and came back down. And the rest of the time we took small planes and we were fine. But are you okay with that? And if you're not, then that can limit like, okay, where are you going to transfer to? Because you don't want to drive from, you know, the southeast up to Fortuna. We did that also, 5 hours. And while
Yeah.
that takes out a whole day. So you kind of want to look at, you know, that's like, you know, where do you, what my questions to you would be is, what do you really want to see? I definitely would do 2 regions for sure. The beach is really beautiful there. Is the beach, you know, glossy white sand and huge waves, and that's no, but it's a very unique beach and beautiful, and you can scuba, you can snorkel, you can ride horses on the beach. They even have ATVs there, but you'd miss out if you didn't go into the Arnold area and see the volcano and see all that beauty. I mean, you really would. I like that more. I think you'd really miss out on that, but I would love to. I would have been sad. The sunsets are stunning. Look at the sunset behind him. So, you know, and the food is different in different areas too.
Correct.
Is anyone else?
I have
Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question, Susan, this is Tina. What's the best time of year to go, or what are the different times of year, the seasons, like what would be different?
So believe it or not, Tina, that's a very complicated question. It's really, I mean, it's not that clear cut. First of all, there's a lot of nature seasons. So if you have a specific interest, let's say you want to see the turtles nesting, then there's a season for that. If you want to see the whales sort of jumping out and mating, then there's a season for that. So that's part of your planning. The dry season, Costa Rica, the temperature is pretty constant year round. It's not going to change more than 10 degrees from what we call the winter to the summer, which is basically the dry season to the rainy season. So the dry season spans from early December through early May. Now we're in the transition between from dry to rain. The rainy season obviously has intensities. So the rainiest part of the year is going to be September and October. So if you want to avoid the rain, those are going to be the 2 months to try to skip. But on the other hand, those are going to be the best months to see the turtles and to see the whales. So there's no ideal. And also, obviously, for budgeting reasons, every season has different rates, different crowds. So high season, obviously, is going to be more expensive. You're going to start looking into more of the value and the packages and the additional sort of amenities starting now in May all the way through November. So it really depends. It's budget, it's nature, it's your activities. For example, if you want to do whitewater rafting, or if you want to do zip lining or any of even the hot springs, the beginning of the rainy season is going to be the best time, because if you go in the middle of the dry season, the rivers are low, it's very hot. It's not ideal. I tend to tell people getting into 100-degree hot springs when it's 85, 90 degrees outside is really not that much fun. I like it when it's in the 70s, maybe a little misty, a little cloudy, and it's perfect weather for hot springs. So it depends. I mean, it depends on what you want to get out of your trip, what you want to see, and if you really want to stretch the budget.
I've had clients go in January and February, and they have been disappointed that it wasn't as lush outside some of the resort areas because it was dry. And we went in,
Right.
it rained every day. And it was, I mean, I know we live in the desert. It was stunningly beautiful. I would go, I don't have trouble sending people in the summer. I don't know if I would probably send people in August again, but you know, again, you're going there for that. The only thing that would have been a problem would have been if we could have done the zip line. You know, and they'll work with you on that, obviously, when you're there. Most of the places that we have work directly with a hotel. So if you have to change your date or something like that, you have it set up. We try to set it up before you get there to make sure that you kind of have a plan. And if you have to change it, the hotel will do that. They have relationships with them. And like I said, so like Tabacon was 10 minutes away. We were the last pickup for the zip line, which was phenomenal. You weren't in the car very long, which was really, really nice. And then we came back and we went over to the hot springs up to the Shangri-La, which, I mean, it's a huge hot springs. It's not like, hey, I walk in the backyard and maybe there's 2 little pools. I mean, it is huge hot springs. We went all the way to the top, which is Shangri-La, and got in there so that I was not dying. And it was unbelievable. I mean, the mist and the rain, and then we had a little cabana thing, and it's just wonderful. And it was great. So I would have been bummed if we couldn't have done it, but I would say June and July, a lot of people go during that time and feel really good about it. I'm not a huge fan of the winter and not being able to see all of the flower and the beauty and the grass. I mean, it is so green. I mean, maybe Tammy and you guys are used to it with Oregon, but you know, here we're used to desert. So, you know, it was like, whoa, everything is so green.
That's right.
Hey, Susan, it's Nikki. I have a question. Is it a decent place to take kids at all? Or I noticed that some of the things that Mario was saying were just adults only, but are there like good kid activities for someone like Hayden's age?
How old is Hayden?
He's 7.
Okay, so as I mentioned in the beginning, I am Costa Rican living in Maryland for 20 years. So I've been bringing my kids since they were 3 months old to Costa Rica. So the answer to your question is, I personally, and this is obviously not an official position of the government or anybody, maybe even Susan has a different position, but my recommendation to my friends is that you want to bring kids 7 years and older. And depending on how adventurous the 7-year-old is. I mean, if the 7-year-old can do a 2-hour hike in the rainforest or do the zip lines without, you know, turning around and going back, that would be the age I would start. Because going all the way to Costa Rica to just sit at the beach or not be able to do rafting or not be able to do zip lining, I think you might as well just wait.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it would probably be something that we would wait till he was probably, 2 or 3 years older, I would think. Would be the ideal age. Okay, great. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Again, I mean, my youngest was pushed to do everything because everybody else was doing it. So he was forced to do the fun things at an earlier age than my daughters. So it really depends on who's the group composition, if this is the youngest or the oldest. I mean, there's a lot of factors, but in general, we did a trip with my in-laws and they had a 4-year-old that they were pushing to do things. And he just couldn't. So he bailed out of the zip line. We had to make arrangements to go back. He bailed out of the rafting. We had to get a private driver to bring him back to the hotel. So yeah, 7, 8, 9, depending on fear factor.
Okay. Well, that would make my kid like 12.
Kim's on here and she said her kids were 4 and 6 and had time of their life. It does depend on your child, right?
Yeah. Well, and Susan, Hayden, he's shy and reserved and
Plus he's an only child. So like he's at the bottom of 4. So I'm very, very competitive. I don't know if anyone knows that about me, but I'm maybe a 4. So I had to fight for everything. So if they were like, you're going to get on a zip line, I'm like, oh yeah, 4 years old. I'd be like, boom, I want to be with you. I want to be on it. And that changes it. So I don't think you can go to Costa Rica to go for a beach vacation, but I think that you, like you said, you miss out on all these wonderful things. So you might as well just go with you and John and not take Hayden and have a vacation. And, it's kind of like going to Hawaii without him, you do all these wonderful things, but it's so expensive to go to Hawaii with a child and have him sit at a hotel.
Right. Yeah. Well, and he loves Hawaii, so, but I want him to love Costa Rica too.
I promise I will get him there. I will.
Okay.
So I don't see it. Tim and Tammy, was your question about when is it 70 and green with flowers? I don't know if it ever is.
So, I like 70s with the what you were describing with the 70s and the mist, right? Is that when it's also green and flowery?
Yes.
Okay, when is that? What month?
Okay, so again, unfortunately, there's no straight answers to this. Costa Rica is in the northern hemisphere, so technically speaking, our winters are the same as the U.S.
Oh, okay.
But the dry part of the year, when it's sunnier, is going to be the same December through April time of the year. So you can get nights up in the mountains in December and January that go all the way down to the 40s and low 50s. But you can get daytime temperatures in the 90s. That's going to be up in the mountains. Now, the more sort of 70s constant, sort of not very sunny is going to be now, like May, June, July, August. Even though it is the summer months here, it doesn't really get that hot in Costa Rica. And because of the cloud coverage, you're not going to get a lot of sunshine. So
I don't want and I want sun because I live where it's cloudy and rainy all the time. So what I want sun.
So sunny and 70s is not going to happen. Sorry.
Anywhere? No. Good.
No, that's not true. You can get sunny and 70s up in Monteverde, which is the cloud forest area.
Oh, yeah.
Even Arenal in February and January could be sunny and in the high 70s, low 80s. It's not going to be unbearable, but keep in mind that Arenal is going to be rainforest, so it's going to be humid. So even though the temperature is not high, the thermal, the feels like is going to be pretty, in the high 80s.
Yeah. Here, if it's 60s in Phoenix is really like like
Phoenix though.
And it's like it's dry there, but it really would be like if it's 60 here, it would be like 70 in Phoenix. So
right.
Yeah.
So you want to stay in the higher altitudes in that case, Monteverde, Poás, the mountain areas.
And go in the I want to go in the dry season.
Okay, I mean that's perfect. January, February is going to be that weather that you're looking for, and it is still flowery, still sort of a dense, lush, because it is a type of rainforest that grows at high altitudes.
Okay, all right. All right, but then and that's one region, right?
There's two.
So,
actually, there's three, but one is Monteverde, and the other one is going to be the mountains around San Jose.
Are you getting this, Susan?
Yes.
Like, I'm not gonna remember that. Okay, thank you.
She knows how to get in touch with me. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, and I've known Tammy forever. We actually met each other when we were adopting our first child, and my daughter's 23. She was just here too. Bummer. Okay, I've heard of a tour. I should have Googled it before I got on here. That has to do with a cloud at night or something. Or is there something with what's the cloud? What does that mean? When you hear the cloud of Costa Rica, what does that mean?
The cloud forest?
Yeah, what's the cloud forest?
Okay, so technically speaking, there's many different types of rainforest. So you're going to have the low-lying rainforest on the Pacific side, which is still pretty dense, still pretty humid, but the trees are smaller because it's a low-lying area. You have the tropical dry forest, which is what you have in Guanacaste, which is in a way similar to the U.S. The trees lose the leaves in the dry season, so it looks bare and yellow, and then the rains start and it turns lush and green. Then you have your typical rainforest, which is Arenal, which is exactly what you think of when you think of a jungle setting. Different levels, different foliage at the ground floor, at the mid level, at the top level. Those you see at the Hanging Bridges tours. And then you have the cloud forest. The cloud forest is the type of rainforest that grows above 16 or 1800 meters over sea level. I'm not quite sure which is the line. But it's a rare phenomenon because in most areas of the world, when you get to that altitude, what you're getting is the tundra, or you're getting sort of a more desert-like setting. In Costa Rica, there's a few areas where the rainforest keeps going to the higher altitudes, so it's much cooler. It's much sort of there's more moss, there's more different birds. That's where the quetzal, which is the turquoise green bird with the red chest lives, which is a rarity in the world. It's a beautiful bird. You have a lot of toucans in there. So it's a different type of vegetation, different type of wildlife, obviously different type of temperatures. And that's going to be in Monteverde, near the Poás volcano. There's near San Ramon, there's another area. So there's a few cloud forest areas in Costa Rica that are basically rainforests at high altitudes.
Yeah, I've seen that where there's been like tours where they've done like looking for a certain bird. I wanted
Right.
my mom's a birder, so we looked for. I birded with her before, and they just look stunningly beautiful. And people have asked me about them and said, "Oh, I want to do this," and I'm always like, "Oh, sure." You know, I have no idea what I'm talking about, but I'll say yes. And then I Google it, but I was like, I never understood that. So that's phenomenal.
Yeah, birds are seasonal because a lot of them are migratory birds,
Yes.
and they also regional. So scarlet macaws are going to be on the southern Pacific side. The green macaws are going to be on the Caribbean side. The toucans are everywhere. Quetzal only in the cloud forest. Hummingbirds, I think, only in the cloud forest. So it depends again on the type of birds you're looking for. They're going to be in different parts of the country.
Yeah, that's amazing. I will say we did get to go to your property, the property that was on the far southeast on the Caribbean side.
Mhm.
And oh my gosh, that was the coolest shower of my life and the most beautiful property. It just was it took a long time to get to. But we were right across the street from the Jaguar West Rescue.
Right.
Yeah, I mean that place, we had the whole entire pool to ourselves, and the bartender made seriously the coolest drinks ever. I mean, he lit things and did stuff in there, and that's where we saw the most sloths. And are sloths everywhere, or is that a region where they have the most?
No, the sloths are going to be in different parts. You can find them in Manuel Antonio. You can find them in Arenal. Definitely on the Caribbean side. Not in Guanacaste, obviously not in San Jose, but they're not that uncommon. You won't see them at the high altitude, though. You won't see them in Monteverde or places like that.
There's more than one type, I found out when I was there.
2 types, yeah.
I was like,
2-toed and 3-toed. Yep.
but it was so, I mean, they're just so graceful. It was so cool. And they're like,
Full is a nice way of saying slow.
oh, well, they're like, you won't notice them for a while. And then all of a sudden it was like, I mean, that's the joke, of course, they move slow, but they were so graceful. And it was just, they were really cool. I would definitely have, if I stayed longer, I would have gone to the rescue when I was there. And I know there was one up, I believe, near Arnold, or
Right.
yeah, there was one up there. I saw that when I was up there. So if people are going to the only area that I don't know anything about, the Manuel and Antonio, you're saying is that you could go there and you have the beach, but then you also have the monkeys. You wrote down, and
Correct.
you have zip lining, but you don't have there's not volcano down there, right?
Correct.
Now
No
they,
volcano, no hot springs.
now they said down there that the volcano was active like 20 years ago
Which volcano?
in Arnold, right? That big
Correct. 8 years ago.
Yeah, that was like that, and I was like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, so Costa Rica has 103 volcanoes. 103.
I did not know that.
No, that's one of the trivia questions that the guide will always ask you. Because
I
when I went to high school a few years ago, we learned that there were 9 volcanoes in Costa Rica, out of which 3 were active. That's, last century, right? And then they came up with satellites and they came up with infrared imaging, and they found out that there's 103 volcanoes in Costa Rica.
Oh.
So a lot of them were unknown because they were never active, but they do have the lava underneath. And then 2 or 3 of the inactive ones blew up unexpectedly, so things changed. So we have 103 volcanoes and 6 of them are active right now.
So the big one that we see in Arnold, like the one literally outside Tabacon.
Right.
When's the last time it blew?
So the biggest eruption was 1968. It stayed doing mini eruptions daily. Well, first every 15 minutes, then every hour, then every day, and then occasionally, and then became dormant in 2012.
That was what was crazy. They were like, I couldn't believe it was that long, and that's why you could see the total difference in the topography on one side of because from driving, it was like
Right,
on this side, and then this side was like all rock. I mean, it was really
right.
fascinating to see. So is that still active below?
Absolutely. That's why you have hot springs.
Duh. Wow. Can people go? You can't do any tours to go see lava though.
Sure, you can.
Yeah. Oh,
You
yeah.
just can't get to the crater. They don't let you walk all the way up, but you can see the big boulders and the big lava flows from 1968. Sure.
Ooh, I want to go see active lava. That's what I want. I'm
No,
gonna.
no, it's not active lava. Sorry, it's the old lava flows.
You can
No,
touch.
no active lava. Sorry.
That's so cool though. But that's fascinating. I'm gonna use that 103 volcanoes as like an icebreaker. I'll use it as a questionnaire. How many volcanoes? Because no one's gonna get that right. Okay. Anybody else have a question besides myself? You guys are quiet today.
I have a question. I'm on the line too. Sorry, I came on late. You might have already addressed this, so I apologize since I came on late. But like if you're staying at Tabacon, which is more of the, adventure, you got the hot springs, you got all that fun, awesome stuff. Is there a recommendation for a spot or a town to go for the best beach town that would be closest nearby? So you want two different areas, right? You want the beach, and then you also want all of the cool stuff at Tabacon?
Yeah, right. I'm sorry, I missed part of the question. Did you ask if there's a town in there?
No, sorry. I was asking if you also want to see like the beach kind of stuff on your trip. Like what would be, I don't know if it's the closest is the best question, or what's the like recommended beach town to go to, like if you're also wanting to travel to Tabacon.
Okay, so to me, choosing the best beach pairing would depend on what you're looking for. You're gonna have 4 different options, and then you choose the best matching for you. So first, as Susan mentioned, we do have some all-inclusives, and some people like to end at an all-inclusive. So in that case, you're gonna be going west to Guanacaste, to the Secrets or the Dreams or the Westin or any of the big name resorts. If you
Okay.
still want like a well-known brand, but you don't need the all-inclusive, you're probably still going to Guanacaste, but you're going to be visiting the Four Seasons or the Andas or the W or the JW. Something along the lines of an American brand, but still very resort style. And then
Okay.
you have 2 other options. Going the boutique, sort of more authentic, small experience, you're going to have either the opportunity to be up in the mountains overlooking the ocean with access to the beach, and that would be Manuel Antonio. Or you
Okay.
can go to the beachfront small hotels, and that's going to be Santa Teresa, Nosara, or the Caribbean side that Susan was mentioning, the Puerto Viejo area. So again, do you
Okay.
want to see the ocean from your room, or you want to be right on the ocean? Do you want a big hotel? You want a small hotel? You want more isolation? You want to be in a town? That all takes, all those questions will lead you to the best pairing in terms of what the beach experience is going to be.
There is a big one you want to think about, because you want to think about how long depends on how long you travel, because some of the places are farther away. And
Right.
I had longer time to go to the one that was the southeast corner. I mean, literally, you are on the border of, is Nicaragua, right?
Panama.
Panama.
Panama to the south, Nicaragua to the north. Yep.
That's right, because Dreams Resort is literally at Nicaragua. You literally are
Correct.
like miles away from Panama when you're in this. It is a beautiful town and wonderful. We just didn't have time. But if we had had time to stay there, it takes so much to get there. So you'd have to really look at it. And I think that's why you want to talk to people who have either been there. That's why it was so educational to go to all these different places and see them. And can ask questions. We can talk to him, and we can get him on a three-way call and talk through it. We learned a lot while we were there. I went to 4 properties, and I was there for 10 days. And we ended at Nantipa. I will tell you, like I said, it was my husband's absolute favorite resort he's ever stayed at in his life. There was some of it, and it took a lot to get there. So we had to fly into San Jose, which is the capital, fly on a small plane to, I can't remember the name of the town. It's really cool.
Hamburg.
So then you get on a road, that's a road, and then you get on a road that's not really a road. And it's like this, the whole, like for 30 minutes. And then you get into the town, and it's just this cool little surf town, kind of dirt roads, and it's awesome. And then you show up this resort, and it could not have been more amazing. And it was just relaxing, and it rained for about 30 minutes a day. And the windows in that room are like, they're that butt glass. So it's like, and we'd open it up. We'd lay on our bed. We're staring at the ocean. We have a pool. We're staring at the ocean, laying on our bed, and just hearing the rain. I have a video of just hearing the rain pour. And then it got warm. We shut it and get AC on again. And there's one picture, I'm sitting inside with AC and my husband's sitting outside, and we're both having our happy hour drink. And it was just perfect. I mean, it really was so relaxing. We walked for miles each way on the beach. And it was just, it had charm. And we got to stay there 4 nights. And I would stay there again. So every place had a different vibe, but like my mother would never go there. That would kill her back to go on that road. And so, but she would love to go to Manuel Antonio because she wants to see birds. And so I'd have her flying to San Jose, not LIR. And so there's a lot of different things you have to think about. But I would say this, I honestly would say you would miss out if you didn't go to Tabacon. There's a lot of beautiful resorts up there. I'm not against any of them. I've sold Tabacon without knowing him for years. I've never had a complaint. People absolutely love it. There's a very specialness of that hot springs and I've done hot springs all around the country. I've done them with my parents. We've gone to places like in Colorado and stuff like that. This was really cool. So I think it's worth going. And if you really enjoy nature and stuff like that, and you want to take your kids, let's talk through that, because I do think it is the right age of that person. If you're looking for that beach vacation, like a Cancun, and you want to go just be on a beach, I wouldn't go to Costa Rica. I wouldn't. You want to go to Costa Rica for a very unique, awesome experience. If you want that all-inclusive, you're going to show up and plop your booty down on the beach. This is not the place that you're going to go do that. And that's okay. So, less people there. but you want the right people there, because I want you to have that right vacation. And that's why I think Costa Rica is so unique. And I think you'll be really happy at it. So, the good thing is that, people are booking right now in 21. Some people are booking for the fall. The rates right now, always, as they always are, is, we're booking through April, a little bit of May, some of the summer. Not everything's really open right now in the summer. Some of the rates and stuff like that. But if you guys want to get an idea of what trips look like, we can always put together something. We've got a couple vendors that we work with. Memorable Costa Rica is one of my favorites. They've done a great job with every one of my trips. And they're local. They live there. They know everything. They work with all of my companies. They know the people. They know how to get, they know what tours you guys want to do and stuff like that. So we can make a trip happen for you, and you can let me know. I love questions. There's never the wrong question, the never wrong trip to ask about. So, but I want it to be right, because I want you guys to come back. I want you to book again. So anyhow, any more questions while I don't keep talking? Because it's almost 5. Going once, going twice. Okay, you guys are awesome. I'm going to record this. I'm going to learn. Coulter tomorrow is going to show me how to put this on my YouTube page, so that if you want to go back to it, but don't hesitate. I'm going to send you an email also with the details of what went on today. If you have any questions, follow up. And to let you know, next week we are doing Hawaii, and let me go look, hold on. If you have any suggestions that you guys want to do too, let me know. Oh, we're doing Hawaii and also Norwegian Cruise Line. And then the following week we are doing the adults only cruise line and river cruising. So thank you so much. Have a great weekend. It's almost Friday. Thank you so much, Mario. I really
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Susan. Great to meet everybody.
Hi, Susan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.